Welcome to the next video in my F350 Cummins swap. In this video, we're going to be attacking the issue of the transmission crossmember. Since this was previously a two-wheel drive truck, our stock crossmember isn't going to work because it does not have the slope down for the front drive shaft. So what we end up doing in this video is I decided to create a whole new crossmember out of square tubing. What you see here is Luke, my roommate, and I were working on a program that he has, designing a new crossmember off of the measurements that we took from the truck. I did consider using a four-wheel drive crossmember from a different Ford truck of the same year. However, since we have a Dodge transmission and the Cummins push everything back a few inches, I figured it was probably best just to go with a custom crossmember. Before we could even get started on the new crossmember, we ran into the issue of the threads on the transmission itself were actually in really bad shape, and one of them had a helix coil in it. So we ended up drilling out new holes and tapping in a new thread so we could get some new bolts in there. Once we got those new holes threaded in, it was time to make a transmission mount. This mounts from the transmission to the transmission isolator with the rubber piece that mounts to the crossmember. I searched all over the internet and I could not find the stock one for the Dodge NV4500. So I decided to make one out of this piece of square tubing that I had laying around. We got some holes drilled, and I cut little windows here at the bottom so it was big enough to fit a socket in to get this bolt into the thread. Now that we got the mount all sorted, it was time to work on the crossmember itself. What we ended up doing was drawing these lines in an angle, and then cutting straight across and bending it with, surprisingly, a ratchet strap, since I don't have any kind of metal bending tools, which it worked really good. Is it really a stupid idea if it works? I'm going to be honest with you guys, I was really excited to get going on this project because this is the first time I've ever welded. I never took welding in high school, so I was really eager to get going on this and learn how. And here's what we came up with. To be honest, it turned out pretty good. I know you guys are going to say a lot of crap about my welds in the comments, and honestly, I deserve it. But again, this is my first time welding. I've only done a couple little practice passes, so this is my first actual project. I bought this little titanium 125 welder from Harbor Freight, and it's been doing really good. Once we got the design all welded up and cut, we realized that we were short about 2 inches vertically on the design. So what I ended up doing was cutting 2 inches off of each end, which I had to do anyways because it was too long in the first place to fit in between the frame rails. And so I put those 2-inch squares on the bottom of each side so it would bring up the cross member 2 inches. and it actually worked out perfectly. I decided to lay a really thick layer on the inside of the block because I didn't really want to risk putting a thick bead on the outside and warping the metal. So this is kind of what I ended up with. There's a lot of splatter in there, but this is the next part of the design before we start drilling holes for our mounts. I wanted to make 2 small windows here on the bottom of the cross member just for the same reason that we put the windows on the transmission mount. It's for a socket to get in there if we ever need to take this off, and it will be large enough to get the nuts off. And I know these aren't prettiest cuts, but they're gonna work. I figured it'd probably be smart to go with a grade 8 1/2-inch bolt for holding these cross member to the frame rail. So I ended up drilling a 1/2-inch hole from the frame rail and the cross member at the same time, just to make sure they're both lined up. This was a huge pain. That metal's pretty thick and it's a really big drill bit, so this took me quite a while, but I was able to get all 4 holes drilled. Once I got the holes drilled, I decided to weld the top part of the nut to the bottom part of the cross member here. So that's what I'm doing here. And there goes the breaker in my garage. Now that all the fabrication work was done, it was time to paint it. I decided to go with this duplicolor rubberized coating just to give it a really strong finish down there underneath the truck, so if anything hits it or whatnot, it stays, you know, pretty well coated. I wasn't really super impressed with this product. In hindsight, I probably would have went with something else, but if it does give us any problems down the road, I'll just sand it down and paint it with something else. But for right now, it's gonna work. Once it took like literally 2 business days to finalize drying, it actually turned out looking pretty good. So now it was time to get it installed under the truck. Don't mind the supervisor coming in to check in on everything. She keeps me in line. Hey ma'am, can I help you? So here's the finished product. To be honest with you guys, I'm pretty proud with how this turned out. Again, this is my first welding fabrication project, and I was really excited to get going on it, and I'm very pleased with how it turned out. I also want to give a huge shout out and a massive thank you to my roommate Luke. He was detrimental in getting all of this done, and his experience and help really got this going. So thank you, Luke. I'll go ahead and link his channel down in the description. Another thing that was happening on the sidelines of this project was the Driveshaft. I took it to a shop up north where I'm from, and they did a fantastic job on it. You'll see it here in just a second. I had to get this custom because of the application, and I'm absolutely thrilled with how it turned out. So here's our new Driveshaft. This is the new slip yoke that will go into our Dodge transfer case. They did a really, really good job. I took it to a place here in Utah Valley called Galen's Driveshaft and exhaust, I believe. They did great work. They have really good reviews online. They went ahead and shortened this piece right here by, I believe it was 2 inches. And then they did all new U-joints here, here, and then down there. And then they did a new carrier bearing. Then rebalanced it and then painted it. So it looks great. So we'll go ahead and get this put in. Okay, so here's the real moment of truth. See if I gave the driveline shop the right slip yoke. Oh! Woohoo! Ha ha ha! We're in business. Oh, that's perfect. It's almost like they know what they're doing. And that's going to wrap up this video on the crew cab Cummins. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody watching. There's mostly 2 reasons why I make these videos. One is selfish and I just want to see the process and look back on it. But 2 is I want anybody who is thinking about doing this project to have a good idea of it for themselves and try it out for themselves. I'm nobody special. I don't have any fancy tools or anything like that. I'm just your average Joe with my shade tree mechanic experience and some internet research and a little bit of determination. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you find some value in this. And if you have any questions about anything in these videos, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if there's anything that you think I did wrong or something that I could learn from, go ahead and also leave that down in the comments. And I will see you guys in the next video.